Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the PlayStation 5 and see how this particular device and this console holds up in 2024. Now, I will definitely tell you, the PlayStation 5s in general are probably some of the best looking consoles I've ever seen. I think there's a lot of, a big case to make of these ones probably being one of the better designed consoles in this particular, generation. And I will definitely tell you, if I'm going to pick up a console, whether it's this one or the Xboxes, whatever, there's so much overlap between all these consoles nowadays, it's not even funny. There was, some news here and there, like the last year or so, about certain games not being able to be ported over to the PlayStation 5s because Microsoft's buying all these gaming, companies. But I still don't think that's that big of a deal. And I do think that with the PlayStation 5, it's just such a beautiful console and it still has so much capability inside of it that even if you buy a PlayStation 5 today and the PlayStation 5 Pro or the 6, whatever comes out very soon, you're really not going to be missing out on that much at all. Like, this is still such a beautiful console. It has a lot of power, and I think it's going to be a very good console for the next several years. But I will tell you, if you can go back into my videos from 2020, and I wasn't the only person saying this, there were lots of people who said this maybe even years before me, but I always felt like from the PlayStation 4 generation to the 5 generation, there was going to be a very big overlap between the games available, and I felt like the PlayStation 5 wouldn't be updated as soon as the PlayStation 4s were. Now, we did end up getting the PlayStation 5 Slim, but I actually do feel like for the most part, you're not really going to be getting this big massive change even with the next PlayStation 5 Pro or whatever the next console would be. I actually do feel like for the most part, you're going to be getting the PlayStation 5. I guess the length and lifespan of this particular console may be bigger than its predecessor. We've seen Nintendo kind of do this. I feel like with this generation, I'm trying to think what they could do, but I feel like the overlap and the lifespan and the longevity of the PlayStation 5 in terms of the years is probably going to be bigger than any generation we've seen before. Same could be said about the Xboxes. On the outside of the PlayStation 5 though, whether you're looking at the disc or the PlayStation 5 digital model, we'll just take a look at both of them. The thing I liked a lot about both of them was that you were basically getting, the same type of layout and the same type of features and power on both. The one thing that you were basically, losing with the digital one was the lack of a disc tray. But beyond that, I think it was still a very cool thing that Sony did here. Versus what Microsoft did with the Xbox, you were basically not getting that particular, you're not getting the same type of power, on both those devices, which could be kind of an issue for some people. I think probably for a vast majority of people, you're probably okay. But if you wanted to basically go through and spend some more money, you would have to spend more money on the biggest console in order to, get the better console. With the PlayStation 5s, that's not 100% the case. Because you can actually just go through and buy the, PlayStation 5. And if you get the digital one, yeah, you don't get that disc tray, but you can still go through and basically just buy the PlayStation 5 digital and get basically all the other features and power the same exact way as the PlayStation 5 digital and the disc one, which helped out a lot, I would say, when these things were sold out everywhere. Because if you wanted to buy the disc model and it wasn't available, or if it was priced too high at that time in the resale market, at least you could still maybe try to find a digital model and still get almost the same type of device. Yes, you're not going to be able to play your physical, games, but you could at least still, be able to buy that type of console and still be okay, at least get you by, versus the difference between an Xbox Series X and the Series S. So those kinds of things are probably the biggest things to keep in mind for the most part. But even beyond that, it's totally understandable. With the outside beyond that though, basically the same type of thing. You were getting a USB port on the front as well as a USB Type-C port on the front as well. And I actually like the fact that, Sony put in a USB Type-C port on the front of this particular console, because Microsoft, this massive technology company that has so many things going on within it, didn't even put a USB Type-C port on their console. And I feel like they should have easily done that. I feel like that in and of itself was one of the bigger issues, I would say, that I kind of had with the Xbox Series S and the Series X, and I feel like honestly they could have done a bit of a better job there. But I do think beyond that, again, it's not even the biggest deal in the world, but that was kind of one thing that I was kind of thinking about to myself at that time. But again, I understand it, but that was one thing kind of going on there. On the back side of the PlayStation 5 and the rest of the body, it looks just so nice. You have the fans and the exhaust and everything. On the back side, you have your HDMI port, your AC adapter, USB port, a lot of other cool things going on for this particular console there too. And overall, I will tell you the exterior of the PlayStation 5s, I think the PlayStation 5s are some of my favorite consoles of all time. Those things look beautiful. I still think no matter what you do, you're going to be getting a very, very nice looking console. And this is a very cool thing going on for the most part as well. The big thing though with the PlayStation 5s, like I said before, is definitely the overlap. you're definitely going to be getting quite a bit of an overlap between these two consoles, which is very nice. And I'm talking specifically about the PlayStation 5 and its direct successor, which could be the PlayStation 5 Pro. So just kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head as well. Another big advantage and a humongous thing that I love a lot about the PlayStation 5 is the fact that you are essentially getting such a massive gaming library with this particular device. Like, this particular console is going to last for a very, very long amount of time, which is something that I like a lot about this particular console. So if I'm going to go through and if I'm going to go and buy this type of, device, there's so many games available for this device right now. It's not even funny. So once again, if I'm going to go and buy some sort of device, this thing's going to be lasting a long time. It's going to be getting features here and there, but also those games that are available. I mean, you can play so many different versions of games from so many different years. It's not even funny. So the thing that I like a lot about that disc model of the PlayStation 5 is that you can go ahead and buy, last generation games or even this generation games in the used market and actually get a very, very good performing, very good performance from that type of device, but also get a device that's going to be lasting you a long time with those games. Even like 10 years from now or 20 years from now, if you have that disc model of the PlayStation 5, you're going to be able to play all those disc versions of games, unless for some reason your disc tray breaks. But even then, you could just buy a different one. That is something I love a lot about this console. You're going to be able to play it on original hardware, and you're basically going to be able to play it on that controller as well. Like, it's just a humongous asset when you're buying this type of device, which is really, really cool. That's a very big advantage of it. But I would probably say that the problem with the PlayStation 5s is that because they're just still kind of a little bit expensive, you're going to be spending a lot of money on the PlayStation 5 and then the games on the PlayStation 5 as well. So I hope you can kind of justify that price tag. That's kind of the only thing. But even then, these things have gotten cheaper in the used market, so they're not even as expensive as they used to be. They're a lot easier to buy as well. But if you're planning on buying that digital console, just remember that you won't, be able to buy used games yet. There's really not a way of playing those particular games like that in the used market. So that again is going to be a big problem, I would say, for the most part. But I would still argue beyond that, though, it's not even the biggest deal in the world. And you're probably still going to be okay for the most part with that particular console, even with the digital one, because there's still so many free digital games you can play and buy. So that is kind of a cool thing going on for this particular console too, for both of them. And I felt like ever since we've gone more on the digital side, for the most part, you were actually getting, I would say one of the biggest leaps, I would say, from a design standpoint on the Sony side. I feel like the PlayStation 5 looks so beautiful and the power on this console is so good, and the future of this console is still here. Like, even if you buy this console today, you're still going to be getting a very, very good, powerful console for forever. Like, not forever, but for a long period of time. And that is a very good thing going on for this particular device. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I would definitely tell you is that with the PlayStation 5, whether you get the disc model or the digital model, you're still going to be perfectly fine for the most part. These consoles are so good, they're going to be lasting for a long time, and that is something that I like a lot about these particular devices. The only issue I would kind of say with the PlayStation 5 though, is that make sure you don't spend too much money on it. Like, make sure you don't overprice it. Don't buy it in the resale market or anything like that. Just buy it in the standard market and see if you can get it there, because if you can, then that's great. If not, then that's okay. You can always buy it in later on. But I would probably tell you, for the most part, this is a very, very good device. It's still completely worth buying for the most part, and it has a massive feature ahead of it for sure. So in terms of that kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.